after the verdicts were delivered in Sean Diddy Combs' trial in New York on Wednesday. Emotions boiled over outside court and heated confrontations between fans and protesters, who voiced opposing views about the outcome. Some thought the rap star should have been found guilty on the more serious counts, not just the two lesser charges on which he was convicted. But they were outnumbered by pro-Diddy influencers and fans who were chanting "Free Diddy" and "Let him go" and spraying each other in baby oil in celebration. The jury's mixed verdicts did not present a clear-cut result, but it was seen as a better-than-expected outcome for the star. He still faces significant jail time and dozens of civil legal cases, though his reputation will forever be tarnished by months of ugly allegations and revelations and the two convictions. But some observers believe that's unlikely to stop him trying to mount a comeback. Asterisk is a songwriter, rapper, producer, and record label impresario. Combs, formerly known as Puff Daddy, was one of the driving forces in hip-hop and R&B in the 1990s. He launched the careers of Notorious Big and Mary J. Blige, signed acts such as Faith Evans, 112, Maze and Janelle Monáe to his Bad Boy Records label, and worked with stars including Mariah Carey, Usher, and Busta Rhymes. He won 3 Grammy Awards as an artist and scored his biggest pop hit with I'll Be Missing You, sampling the Police's Every Breath You Take in 1997, his tribute after B.I.G.'s murder. Combs was one of the most famous people in hip-hop, says Los Angeles Times music writer August Brown. He was an incredibly important figure in evolving both the genre and the music industry as a whole into a commercial juggernaut. Asterisk, there was some dark side of Diddy's parties, asterisk, like many at the peak of the music industry. He also threw lavish parties, but sordid details emerged during the legal cases, revealing a darker side. These so-called freak-offs were hotel sex encounters, which could last for days, involving multiple male escorts, routine violence, and copious amounts of drugs and baby oil. The question for the jury was whether this was a criminal enterprise designed to force two alleged victims into sex against their will, or whether, as Combs claimed, the women willingly took part. The defense argued that these orgies were kinky but consensual, and that organizing them was not criminal. In the end, the jury agreed, and he was found not guilty of the most serious charge of racketeering conspiracy, as well as to charges of sex trafficking. The jury was just unpersuaded that what amounted to an extremely broke and violent and drug-stoked sex life on Diddy's behalf amounted to a criminal organization on the racketeering charge, or trafficking in the way that we understand it now, Mr. Brown told the BBC World Service. This isn't to say that it wasn't possible, but they just didn't think it rose to beyond a shadow of a doubt. Asterisk, Combs was, however, convicted on counts of transporting to former girlfriends, including singer Cassie, to participate in sex acts and prostitution. He will face up to 10 years in jail for each charge when he's sentenced in October, but the sentences are likely to be lower than the maximum and to run simultaneously, with the year he will have already spent in jail to be deducted. So it's quite possible he could be free in several years. His supporters will be waiting, but most people will be unwilling to accept a comeback, Mr. Brown says. I cannot imagine any kind of redemption arc as far as him remaining as an artist or a music mogul in light of this. I think the public will remember him as an important figure, whose name is now permanently associated with this very difficult-to-process range of charges. Even if he's not been convicted on the worst of it, Alvin Blanco, content director of HipHopWire.com, agrees that Combs is tarnished to make a successful comeback. He's definitely going to try, but I think the damage is just too irreparable at this point. Mark Anthony Neal, professor of African American Studies at Duke University in North Carolina, also believes there's no doubt the revelations have tarnished Combs' legacy as a man who helped take hip-hop from the ghettos to the mainstream of America to the global mainstream. However, his influence on music had diminished even before the allegations, says Gemma Swad, executive editor of Music and Variety. He doesn't really have much of a music career anymore, and he hasn't for about 15 years. Mr. Aswad told BBC News it's not that he was unpopular, although he wasn't enormously popular recently. He just moved on to other businesses. He got into beverages, he got into apparel, he got into lots of other businesses. Anything he did in music over the last 15 years was almost just for fun. I think he's released 2, maybe 3 albums in that time period, and they just did okay, and frankly, they just were okay, asterisk.